Hi, welcome to Delicious and Light. I'm Dina D'Ambrosi, and tonight we're going to be making chicken and broccoli casserole. I love this recipe because it looks like there's a lot of ingredients here, but it's pretty simple, pretty quick, be done in 30 minutes in the oven, and it's a one-dish meal. You have your vegetable, your dairy, and your protein all in one. You could serve a side salad if you'd like, but it's not even necessary. You don't have to write this down because everything's going to be on our website, deliciouslight.com, but just to show you the ingredients, we have 1.5 heads of broccoli. We have a pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast. We have 1 onion cut up, which was a big onion. Yours will probably be a little smaller. 1/4 cup of flour, 1 cup skim milk, 6 ounces of low-fat grated cheddar cheese. You can also use Swiss cheese, or you can use your favorite cheese if you have another cheese you like instead. A few dashes of Worcestershire sauce. We are going to put 1 tablespoon of canola oil in this because it's chicken breast with no fat. We'll need a little bit of fat in there. And 1/4 cup of cream sherry. And the cream sherry, I'll show you what it's for. I personally like cooking with booze. Just a little bit goes a long way. Sherry is a nice sweet flavor and adds a lot to the onions when you're sauteing them. So the first thing I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 375, which I've been doing, so you'll probably hear the little buzzer soon. And I'm going to put a little bit of water in a microwave safe bowl, and I'm just going to partially cook the broccoli for 1 minute. The reason for this is I like to just parch it a little bit so that it's cooked through and through in the oven. So it really helps out a lot. So the first thing I'm going to do is just start by heating up my pan here. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of canola oil. This does add fat to the dish, so if you're super strict, you can spray your frying pan with cooking spray and just cook it up that way, but really there's hardly any fat except for the cheese. So we're just going to heat that up for a second, and I'm going to take my chicken breast and just salt and pepper a little bit. So if you've ever made cheesy broccoli, this is kind of a spin on cheesy broccoli with chicken in it, but we make it a little more flavorful with Worcestershire sauce and sherry, not cherry. Cherry, that's a whole nother episode for desserts. So let's just get a set of tongs, and let's also take the broccoli out. So again, the broccoli's not going to be cooked, but what you are going to see is it's just partially done, just a little bit. So we're going to set that aside. We don't need that right away. And I put salt and pepper on the chicken, so I'm just going to stir that around. And we're going to put that right in the pan. This won't take long, just a couple minutes. You just want to get the chicken cooked. By the way, I made this recently once, and I forgot to cook the chicken in advance and just put it raw and put it in the oven. That worked out fine too, but it's better if you cook the chicken because most chicken that you buy in the grocery store has been previously frozen. So what you're actually doing is releasing a lot of the excess water in the chicken so your dish isn't too watery. So we're just going to let that saute for a few minutes. And I'm going to get out a mixing bowl because what we'll do is when we saute the chicken, we're going to put it in a mixing bowl. Then we're going to saute the onions and the garlic, put that in the mixing bowl along with the broccoli, and then we're going to build our cheese sauce from there. So we're just getting this cooking up. Alright, so the chicken is sauteed, and don't worry too much of if you think it's fully cooked or not. Remember, this is going to bake in the oven for 30 minutes, so if it's not cooked through and through, no worries. So we're just going to put this in a bowl and let it hang out for a little while, and reheat the pan. Surprise! And put our onion in. And we just want to saute the onion until it's soft. So I like to put the lid on it for a few minutes to release the moisture And we'll just make sure we're not too high there. And we're just going to saute this for 2 to 3 minutes, just until it gets slightly soft. And this is important because if you were to cook onion in a casserole like we're doing, and you put the onion in raw, it will taste like it. You'll definitely taste a difference, so it's worth it to go through the step and make sure that you cook the onions in advance. While we're waiting for this to cook, I just want to remind everybody to follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and you'll be able to get the updated recipes that you're looking for. Let's see how this is coming along. Also, this segment is being sponsored by Apex Nova. Not only do we do a 2-week character education and event-based fundraising program for elementary schools, but we also serve clubs, teams, and any type of group that's interested or needs to fundraise. So for instance, you've got a good cause, you need to fundraise for it, we can help you do that. If you're a sports team and you need to raise money for new uniforms, or you're going on a championship trip, I know cheerleading squads oftentimes have to travel around the United States for competition, and you need to raise those funds, contact Apex Nova. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, we can help you out. Let's see how these onions are coming along. Pretty close. I'll tell you what, instead of watching grass grow or onions cook, I'll catch up with you in another minute. All right, so our onions are softened and very slightly browned. From here, we're going to put in 2 cloves of minced garlic. Make that into or not. That'll be on the bloopers. All right, 2 garlic cloves. You just stir this around real quick. And from here, you just want to put in about 1/4 cup of cream sherry. That adds a little moisture and it helps scrape up all the little bits on the bottom. Just let that sherry completely cook out, so you're cooking out the alcohol, but you're getting the flavor, which is just fantastic. It's a nice, sweet flavor. All right, so we'll just let that cook up, and then from there, we're going to add that to the chicken. And we'll just let that sit for a few minutes, and then the last thing we're going to do is just make the cheese sauce. And from here, you want to get a whisk, and we'll turn the heat back on. And then you have 1/4 cup of flour and 1 cup of skim milk. Just mix that together. And what this will do is make a nice thick sauce. And this sauce is going to be thick. Pour that in, and that's going to cook right away. I will say, this is one of those things where you are going to do it by sight. So if it looks like your sauce got too thick, you can add a little chicken broth to it, or you can add a little bit more milk to it. So you just want to get this to the point where it's bubbly, and it gets thick pretty quickly. So just keep a keen eye on it and continue to stir it around. And this is already thickened. So we'll shut the heat off and add the cheese. And so some people have asked in the past, well, why do you shut the heat off to put the cheese in? And that's because you don't really want to cook the cheese. You just want to melt the cheese so that it becomes a nice thick cheese sauce. And you also want this to be a thicker cheese sauce than other dishes, because you're going to be baking this in with the broccoli, which is going to release a little moisture in the oven, and it'll be too watery if you don't have a super thick cheese sauce. So as you can see, this is super gooey and thick. If you're somebody who wants to cut down on the fat, you can do half fat-free cheese, half low-fat cheese, but do not do all fat-free cheese. It doesn't melt properly. But you can definitely do half and half. So actually what I'm going to do, I almost put it in the bowl. What I want to do is just combine all my ingredients in the pot and just stir it around. And I'm going to also include the broccoli. Just make sure that you strain all the excess water out of the broccoli, because remember we microwaved it for a minute and I added some water when I did that. So just put that in there. Stir this around real well. Add a little Worcestershire sauce, just a couple of dashes. You could have added this in the cheese sauce as well. Just adding this now, and you would add this when you add the cheese. All right, I'm just going to stir this. Then you want to take a oven-safe casserole dish. So I have that here. Just spray it with cooking spray. And just add your casserole. All right, that's it. Then you take your 1/4 cup breadcrumbs, sprinkle on top. And bake it in the oven at 375 for 30 minutes uncovered. And you will have dinner ready. Let's put it in here. Set the oven for 30 minutes. And I'll see you then. Thanks a lot. All right, so it's been 30 minutes. It's hot, bubbly, and browned on the top and ready to go. So I'll take this out, show you what it is. There we go, chicken and broccoli casserole. Until next time, enjoy. See you then. Bye.